ahead. Let's get into the first topic, and I'm going to get into my review of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was going to do this last week, didn't have the game finished. I finished the game a couple days ago. Even started into a new game plus or a continuation of my original file where you can kind of go back through chapters and replay and, do things that you couldn't get accomplished the first time with your same level and everything, which is pretty cool. So my wait for this game, it began E3 2015. They announced the game. So 5 years of waiting, shed a tear, waited 5 years for the game to come. Got to a certain point, was told the game was going to be delayed. Just, sucked it up, took it anyways. And sir, do I have to say it was worth the freaking wait. Was it worth the wait? Now, it's unfortunate because, I have my ups and downs with this game. Overall, the game is a solid game. Definitely contender for Game of the Year. We've talked about this in previous episodes, how we feel about remastered or remade games getting nominated for Game of the Year. In my opinion, since this game is completely remade, and it's kind of a retelling of the original story, I definitely feel like this game should be a contender for Game of the Year. Now, story, we all know, we all love Final Fantasy VII. Some people don't even know there's any other Final Fantasy games. Some people swear that the Final Fantasy series started with Final Fantasy VII for some freaking reason. The game is that iconic. In the class of the other games that it's packaged with. It's in a class of its own, held up against all other video games, definitely in the top 10 video games of all time. That's just the game Final Fantasy VII. Now, with it being remade, it was phenomenal. Okay, going in from just visually going in, we'll start with the visual. Character designs, fantastic, amazing, way better than the designs in the original game that was on the original PlayStation. So of course, it looks better. But from jumping from cutscenes to gameplay, you cannot tell the difference. Literally, your main characters look phenomenal. The environments, they are phenomenal. They look great. Yeah, you could be, in sector 7 or wherever you may be. If you're high up, you look down, you can see everything below you. You can look up if you're on the ground. You can see the steel skies and everything. It looks great. The monsters look great. Now, when it comes to NPCs, I mean, they look all right. I like how they were able to give NPCs kind of minds of their own in a way, where you run through crowds, they'll communicate with you. If you're playing as Tifa, you might get hit on or something like that, and you're a Cloud dressed up as a lady. People hit on you. People recognize you as Cloud. They're like, oh, that's the mercenary. They'll interact with you, so that's cool. But sometimes you'll be doing like a side quest. You'll be talking to an NPC. You'll be like, you look a lot worse than the character design for my main character. Now, I get it. I understand it. I'm not playing on a PS4 Pro. I'm playing on the standard PlayStation 4. So maybe if I were playing on a PS4 Pro with some upscaling, the NPCs more than likely would look a little bit better. Now, if we were playing this ported onto a PS5, the next gen consoles, I imagine they'll look even better on there. But on the standard PS4, the main characters look phenomenal. Some of the NPCs didn't look the best. Voice acting was good. Main character voice acting was spot on. Sometimes with the NPCs, some of the voice acting was kind of like, okay, that doesn't really match up. It doesn't really look the best. But, that's a minor thing. When it came to the main characters, when it came to the cutscenes, all of that stuff was fine-tuned, polished, and looked amazing. It was just some of the NPC interaction that was kind of like, oh, this could look a little bit better. But compared to the original game, looks 1,000, 10 million times better. When a game came to the gameplay, now when I gave my slight review of the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo that I played, I said I'm not used to the gameplay style. It'll take a little bit, but I'm sure after a couple hours playing the game, I'll have it down and it'll be a breeze. Exactly like I thought. The gameplay mechanics phenomenal. It takes a little bit if you're not used to that style, but once you get used to the style, you really like the freedom that you have. I like how you can switch between each character after their AP gauge was filled to go and have them cast spells if you need them to cast spells, do special attacks, summons, whatever it may be. The fluidity between switching between characters was nice. If you get into a bind, you're like, man, I need to go in the long range. I can switch right from Cloud into Barrett, hit him with some long range, switch back to Cloud, have him cast magic, switch over to Tifa, do some beating them ups, switch to Aerith. If I had her in the party, do some great healing, whatever it may be. Just the fluidity of the fighting system, I really really enjoy it. The turn-based system definitely was a dated system. Not that I didn't like it, but with just the capabilities that we have, the fluidity that we have with the consoles, the frame rates that we can produce with these things, it's so much better just to be able to freely roam and attack, dodge, cast spells. I really, 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 really thoroughly enjoyed the fight mechanics of this game, especially when it came to mix and matching with the materia, which is great. I wanted to see how they were going to do it almost exactly how it was originally, where you can blend certain materials, level up your materia, switch your materia between different people, but still retain that level on the materia. Unlike some other RPG games where each character has their set magic level, you could just swap a higher level materia to a character without having them to have to go through the whole grind of leveling up the materia themselves. So it was cool whenever I was in a situation, whenever I needed to maybe switch someone's equipment or someone fell out of the party, I could still take equipment from them, add it to someone that was currently in my party. So it made it easier to level up my materia, and it kind of gave you a way to strategize, and you can kind of like pick people's strengths, what materia should go on which person. It really thoroughly is enjoying just going through, being able to swap out different things, equipping people with the proper weaponry as well. Being able to level up your weapons as well as your materia was very cool. You can kind of do it in a way where you get different attribute boosts based off of the weapons that you have. Your weapons level up over time, and you could pick different attributes to add to that weaponry, which would give it boosts in its attack power, its defense, or its magic abilities, which was really cool as well because you could then switch between your different slots of weapons, which would have different amounts of slots for materia and things like that as well, which was really cool. So that was super awesome. The gameplay super awesome. Just going through the fighting system, the mechanics of healing and equipping items and changing items and things like that was super cool. When it came to the strength of the characters, I played my original walkthrough on normal mode, which was like the highest difficulty on the original setting. Now I can go into hard mode, which doesn't allow you to use items. You could only heal and things like that. Um, so based off of difficulty, it took a couple hours before I got into a bind. But when I got into a bind, I got into a bind. Now, sometimes like if you get into a boss that you can't beat, sometimes it takes a couple times to get through it. Sometimes you got to go back, you got to swap materia, you got to use different tactics, you got to figure out what they're weak against, use materia to assess them if you have the assessment area, whatever it may be. But there was lots of times in this game where I got stuck. Like the reason I didn't do the review last week because I got stuck at a part towards the end of the game where it wasn't even a boss. It was literally just like a pack of dogs that I got stuck on and I could not beat. until I took a little break, came back, re-strategized, came in, and plowed right through it. So there's a lot of times like that in the game. It wasn't just like a breeze where I'm walking through it. There were some bosses, especially the last couple bosses, that I had to refight multiple times. It definitely was a grind. There was definitely a lot of side quest things like that you could do, or you could choose not to do. There's definitely a lot to do in the game. I put in, I think it took me about 45 hours overall, and that's with me taking some time to do some training in some places and stuff like that too, to get the complete game done. So gameplay, phenomenal. Voice acting, very, very good. NPCs could be a little bit better with the voice acting and the character design and visually. Um, but gameplay wise, story wise, the adaptation, what they were able to get from 8 hours of the original game to have me play 45, almost 50 hours of an 8 hours worth of time in the original game, it blows my mind. I don't know how many of these games they're going to have to make to actually complete the entire game. But overall, I thought the game was phenomenal, really good. Some departments could have been slightly better. In my opinion, I wish the game was longer, but I understand why they ended it where they were, where they did. As soon as I finished the game, I was like, man, I wish they were releasing the other part in 6 weeks or something like that, so I could get to it. I don't know how long it's going to be until we get the next installment of this game, but I am anticipating it. I'm literally sweating for the next part of this game. It was like a taste of crack cocaine, and I'm hooked. I need more. I need more. I need more. I need more. This game is great. I'm saying game of the year. Koerri is going to give this game a 4.5 MFs out of 5. Final Fantasy VII Remake, though it is not perfect, though there are some things that I would change. Overall, the time that they took, the effort that they put in, and the slight changes that they made to the story were to done to do it justice, and I think that's exactly what they did. Story wise, it was great. All the cutscenes, they just drew you in. They just had you led you asking for more. At the end of the game, like I said, it's just like I need more, I need more, I need more. 4.5 MFs out of 5. Final Fantasy VII Remake, potentially game of the year. I'm loving it. I'm not just biased. If I had never played the game before, I would still love this game just as much. It's that great. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. You need to play it. That's my review.
That just goes to show you, sorry, nostalgia people, that old style of playing is over with. And you can check the sales of this game, and those people that were complaining are the same people that have bought the game too. That old style of play is out the door.
Mm-hmm.
The door is now open for this new style of play that a lot of people appreciate. And I guarantee you, a lot of people that were complaining that they got rid of the old style are the same people that are enjoying it right now and waiting and itching for the next chapter in that. Right. That's just what it is. Times change. That style is over.
Yeah, and I mean, and if you really break it down, it literally is. It's the same thing, except you can attack while you're waiting for your AP gauge to fill, right? So the original one is you wait for your gauge to fill, then you could attack, or you could cast magic, or you could use an item. Now, if you want to use a special attack or cast magic or use an item, you have to wait for the AP gauge to fill, but you're not just sitting there not doing anything. You can run around, you can dodge, you can attack. So it actually is occupying your time while you wait to actually pull off a move. So it's similar, but it's just fine-tuned, it's refined. It's an upgraded version of that original turn-based system that you know and love. Everybody has an AP gauge. The AP gauge is gonna fill at a certain amount of time, just like it did originally with your full cast of characters. But you can still attack while you're waiting for the gauge to fill up and move around and dodge and not get attacked. So
it's 2020, y'all.
Exactly. Not 1987 or 1997. It's over with. But yeah, great game. Great, 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 great game.
He said 1987.
Yeah, I just literally my mind went back to like Final Fantasy.
One.
Yeah. I was gonna say Final Fantasy 3, but I think that was like a 91, 92 release.